Welcome to Power Mondays. Blue Mondays are a thing of the past. Your Mondays will never be the same again. We enter our weeks with energy. This is Empowerment Podcast. We are here to empower you, to inspire you, and to equip you. You are chilling with Nontuthuko Mgabhi, the powerhouse. Enjoy the show. Greetings on this beautiful Monday. It is a beautiful month. It is Women's Month. I was so excited that I could cover all the males in my podcast when it was Men's Month. And this month, I'm bringing you a whole lot of women empowerment. And I'm so excited as I look at my calendar and who I've got in store for you. Today, I've got a lady who did 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days. I'm just inspired by her resilience, her habits, her discipline. She wakes up at 4:30 in the morning to run. She's just so amazing. She's a corporate giant. She's a runner. She's got a corporation which is called Go Beyond for a Girl Child. I don't normally introduce my guests, but this one, it's because I know her from back in the days when I was still a little girl, a 10-year-old, in Mseleni. We went to school together, and when I saw her rising and climbing the corporate ladder and doing these amazing things, I was like, no ways, I have to have her on my show. I actually intended to have her in June because she's still a youth. So I had her as my guest. I wanted to have her in June, but unfortunately, due to her busy schedule, she couldn't make it, but I'm just so inspired by her story. And I'm so sure that today you'll start your Monday on a different level. I'd like to welcome my guest, Nontuthuko Mgabhi. Welcome to my show, Nontu.
Thank you, Nompilo, for having me.
Oh, you are so humble. You know, all the times I interact with you to ask and get to your time, you just say, it's fine, we'll schedule. But I know that you're busy and you're in the senior positions. And Nontu, tell us, who is Nontu so that I don't waste your time?
Thanks, Nompilo. Nontuthuko Mgabhi, like you have rightfully said, I hail from a village of Mseleni, that where I was born and bred. Attended Mseleni primary school and high school. Then I finished my high school at Zenzereni High School. Then I went to University of KwaZulu-Natal to do my undergraduate degree in psychology. Thereafter, I did my honors and masters at UKZN, masters in industrial psychology. Thereafter, I went to South African breweries as an intern psychologist. That's where I did my internship and wrote my board exam and qualified as an industrial psychologist. I continue to stay in the corporate world, and thereafter I have obviously received a number of supports and opportunities and climbed what they call the corporate ladder. But honestly, it's been an amazing journey for me, and I think it's a journey of hope, especially for girls from rural village. Like you've said, I'm quite about that. I founded an initiative, Go Beyond, and I've got a sub-program to that, which is Go Beyond for a Girl Child. Yes. And thereafter now, I moved to RBM, which is Richards Bay Minerals, Rio Tinto. I think it was in 2011. And I enjoyed seeing my career there flourish, being supported, mentored, coached. And then I got an opportunity to move to Richards Bay Coal Terminal, where I am right now. And again, they have received many opportunities for growth. I am now the General Manager of Human Resources, looking after both HR and corporate affairs. I am very passionate about education. I have an initiative, like I've said, Go Beyond for a Child. This initiative is about supporting primary schools from deep rural villages by providing infrastructure as well as educational resources. How do I do this? I combine my passion for running with my love for education. I really honestly, Nompilo, believe in education simply because it's one thing that has worked for me. And I say this, Nompilo, at the backdrop of knowing very well the unemployment rate in South Africa, knowing full there's so many youth or people with even postgraduate qualifications who are at home. Having said that, for a child, education has been one constant common denominator in advancing a Black child. And we therefore should not lose hope and preach an otherwise message. Hence, I still work very hard, especially in primary school, because I believe that a child is made in primary school. And because I believe that genius is equally distributed, but unfortunately, opportunities. So I do my best to actually give, especially a girl child, some opportunities. And I do this by running a toughest foot races on earth. Like you have highlighted on in February 2020, I became the first female from Africa to run seven marathons. In 7 days. Mostly, Nompilo, I did this to raise funds to build 5 new classrooms for a school in need in Mtuba in Dugudugu village, a school called the primary school. And thanks to generous sponsors, I was able to raise 1.7 million to build those 5 rooms and furniture the school. So basically, that's who I am. I really, truly do love life. You know, I'm a very grateful person. And that's going.
Wow. When I was reading and listening to your interviews, I saw that you've got a very close friend, Zama Luthuli, who actually motivated you to start running. Are you guys still friends with Zama?
Absolutely, yes. She actually really started my journey of running. We were at RPM together, and this time, 2013, because that's when I started running. She invited me and said, "No, go for East Coast Big Walk. Let's sign up for 10 kilometers." Like, what? You kidding me? I mean, then I had never even signed up for a 3-kilometer walk. I was like, there's no way I'm 10 kilometers. She convinced me, you know, she's so hyperactive, positive, full of life and energy. She's like, no, you will enjoy it. So many people who are like you, you know, and we went there really, needless to say, I truly did enjoy, and I finished the 10 kilometer without even realizing that it's 10 kilometers. I felt so good, Nompilo, and I came back and I was like, wow, I really, really liked that feeling that I had after finishing 10 kilometers, the feeling of accomplishment. So I then started jogging in the morning. Needless to say, within a year, I signed up for Comrades Marathon.
Ooh, wow, you are so brave.
Honest. Thank you. Let us be honest, Nompilo, for good mental health.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I agree.
Drink water and exercise.
Yes. Wow, Nontuthuko, I'm so inspired already by your journey on how you made 1.7 million just because you believe in education. If it was for me to choose, I would say Nontuthuko for president, but it's not for me to choose, but I'm sure the world will know about you. Nontuthuko, how did you get to the executive at the age of 30, by the age of 30?
Yeah, and I'm totally humbled, Nompilo. The first youngest ever executive appointed by the terminal since its inception in 1984. I was appointed to this position in September 2017 as a general manager of human resources. You have asked a very pertinent question about how do you get to basically accelerate your growth in the workplace.
Yes.
I'm choosing to use the word accelerate your growth because a person may not end up in executive, but may end up where they want to end up. Whatever you set, whether your epitome is a specialist or middle management or superintendent or vice president, whatever it is, I think, Nompilo, there's definitely a few things that worked for me, I would say.
Yes.
I will highlight 3 of them.
Yes, I'm going to write them down myself.
Number 1 is always, whatever the room you find yourself, be the hardworking person.
Hardworking person.
Yes, in whatever the room you find yourself, be the hardest working person. I know there's a big buzzword around working smart.
Yes.
That's all. But when you're starting your career, being the hardest working person works so well for you than the working smart. Because after all, as you climb the corporate ladder, that's when call it the strategic element is required. But when you start your career, it's not so much about the strategic element. I mean, when I was an intern psychologist, it wasn't so much about being too strategic. Or when I was an HR practitioner, it wasn't too much about being too strategic, but it was about being the hardest working person, such as close the vacancy as fast as you can, right? Attend to IR matters as fast as you can, support line managers, give feedback, work as hard as you can, submit reports on time, those things. I would like to encourage the youth not to shy away from working hard. Get your hands dirty. There's value in that, simply because people notice you when you work hard.
Yes, and definitely.
Will always reward your efforts. That's number one. Number two, show up on time.
Okay. Sure.
Show up on time. I remember at SA Breweries, my line manager my manager was Suraya Singh. She was a very, call it a person with high work ethics. She would be at work 30 minutes before 7:30.
Sure.
And she would leave office at least 30 minutes or an hour late. And I quickly, when I started, said to myself, it's embarrassing to arrive later than my boss. I quickly learned her way, and I would then show up just maybe 20 minutes before she does. So I would be a lot later, maybe 50 minutes to an hour early, and I will leave after her or with her.
Okay.
Within 6 months, she promoted me. And you know what she said to me? She said, Nontu, I've never had a hard-working intern like you. Your work ethics are way beyond a person whom this is her first job.
Sure. Nontu, if you don't mind me asking, who taught you all these principles? Because I'm sure it was your first time working as an intern, and then boom, you are doing things that, did you read books? Well, how did you empower yourself to be this kind of intern?
Thanks for asking that, Nompilo, because I've reflected on that a lot. And I mean, as an intern, it's your first formal job.
Yes.
How you learn these things. I just want to say, families, a home structure has a lot to do with how a person turns out. And I want parents to hear me. This is not to say, as a parent, you are solely and fully responsible. Out, because you know what, we do have examples or situations where we know that a child was raised well with ethics and everything that. But I just want to say to parents, do not underestimate your role. I grew up in a family where there was a lot of structure. Mom and dad, really very disciplined people. Hard work, it's something that was ingrained in us when we were young. For me and my siblings, it wasn't a matter of you wake up, you take a bath and you go to school. There were house chores that needed to be done before you go. You come back, there are house chores. And mom would actually really time you, in terms of how many minutes it should take you to be home after school. So you always knew I had to be home on time. And if you went fooling with friends and come back home late, and you knew there was a hiding or consequences for that, which can come of a hiding or can come in a form of being given task to do at home. So hard work I learned at home, and being on time, as well as being respectful. We often don't talk about respect.
Yes.
Respect not out of fashion.
Yes.
You have to be respectful if you want to see yourself grow and supported. This whole thing, when you write to your boss, you put a K instead of an OK, or instead of using formal words, it should be okay. Respect is very important. And showing up time is part of respect.
Sure. So that means you respecting someone else's time. If we said, yeah, oh, wow. And not to continue sharing, you are going to share your third point and then...
And yes, Nompilo, and the last one that I would really want to believe that worked for me is be open to learn. You know, the best time when you are licensed to be a learner is really early on in your career. Very often, Nompilo, people fall into a trap of trying to act smart, and often they come across as arrogant.
Sure.
It is very important to raise your hand and ask questions. It's very important to be open to learning. And don't quickly, as a junior person, quickly see yourself as equal to your superiors. When I say superiors here, I'm not even only relating that to your boss. I'm even talking about people who've got maybe more experience than you, whom you can learn a lot, or who in senior positions than you, and respect everyone. I always emphasize this. I give you an example. I always say, often people like to respect titles.
Yes,
and
definitely.
They make a mistake. That's where they make a mistake, because people, first and foremost, as a people, they are equal. Soul is equal. The titles are attached to what they're expected to deliver, nothing more.
Sure.
Very often, absolutely
so
respect everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect everyone. I mean, I've seen people, sometimes they will phone looking for me and ill-treat my PA. Not knowing the relationship I have with her, that I regard her as my sister or my big sister. She may be my, but she's like a sister or a big sister to me. And the moment she tells me that so and so phoned and was rude, whatever you were actually looking for to me, already I've got this preconceived idea about you of arrogance.
Yeah, because now you are able to, no, that's so deep, Nontu. Because sometimes people would respect people just because they have a higher position, not because they're just human, you know.
Exactly.
Sure.
Because you thought, by the time you get to me and you're trying to be all humble, kind, and respectful, and I'm looking at you and I'm like, look, who you are is seen by people that you think do not have the power.
Sure. No, you are building us up, Nontuthuko. I am so empowered right now. And I feel like we can really win in corporates if we really apply those basic principles that you've shared with us that have made you win as an individual. Can you also share briefly about your winning? About your running? How was your experience with the 7 marathons, 7 continents in 7 days? I know that you were the first female from Africa to run this marathon. Can you briefly share the experience? What kept you going, you know? Because I'm sure it couldn't have been an easy experience.
Yeah, Nompilo, it was indeed exciting, tough, everything in one, you know. We started in Africa, where we ran in Cape Town by the Sea Point. We then went to Antarctica. That was mostly the hardest marathon because the gale wind was so strong, even by Antarctica standards. I remember by the time I finished running, I really thought I had lost my fingers.
Sure.
Frostbite. I couldn't even remove my gloves. So that's a marathon where I had to really dig deep and really look at my why. And I really did reflect on why I am doing this, which is to support a school in need. And it was for me beyond building the school because sponsors are generous. Even if I didn't finish the marathon, they were still going to donate, you know, because this was beyond Nontu, you know?
Yes.
And I was motivated a lot, Nompilo, by me running the world. What message am I sending to a girl from Seleni or a girl from, you know, who will look at no ordinary person, a girl like them who comes from a rural village, and then started about me that she ran you just send a message of hope.
Yes.
Can't you see yourself reflected in me? Therefore, you can do or even more. So yes, and hardest marathon. We finished Antarctica and then we flew to Australia. Australia was the most beautiful marathon simply because we started the run at 11 p.m. and it was nice and cool and it was fast and flat course. Thereafter, we went to Asia in Dubai. It was quite hot in Dubai, but we did obviously, enjoy the heat. Finished Dubai, we went to Spain in Madrid. That was one of the most beautiful marathons because we got an opportunity to run in a Formula One course. What a special it was. Then we finished there. We went to South America. We ran in Brazil. It was very hot. I think it was about 36 degrees. When I started that marathon, Nontuthuko was like, okay, I've got an advantage of being familiar with the heat because I was the only one from
South Africa.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. But I quickly realized this is too much. It was too hot, I must say. Many of my marathons, I had finished them sub 4 hours. And I was hoping that also with the Brazil one, I can do it in 3 hours and something. But I quickly realized this is too much. So I ended up finishing 4 hours, 6 minutes or so. Then we flew to North America where we did our last marathon in Miami. What a beautiful course, beautiful scenery, and really jubilee around saying, we've come this far. You had to finish the last marathon, right? So,
yes.
So that was really the experience. And Nontuthuko, over the 7 days, because we were rushed for time, because we had to do this within 7 days. And often people ask me, how can you run 7 marathons on 7 continents?
Exactly. That was my next question. Like, how do you get to the next continent in the next day? Like, is it even possible? Please say.
Yeah, it is possible because we had a dedicated private charter plane. I don't think you can do it if you are using the, normal commercial flight. So with a dedicated charter plane, really this plane was dedicated to taking the participants of this race from one continent to another. So we fly, we land, we get off the plane, for us, we run, we finish running, we get onto the plane, we fly to the next continent. So there's no waiting and delaying. The delays are impossible because it's a plane dedicated to you. So that's how it was possible.
Just on that note too, it was also just before COVID started. So COVID didn't interfere with your plans and your travels and stuff.
Nontuthuko, God works in mysterious ways. Just when we came back, because we finished the last marathon was on the 13th of February. So I stayed in Miami just to recover before I flew back.
Sure.
And the time hit the shores of South Africa within 2 to 3 weeks. COVID-19 hit the shores of SA.
Sure.
I think it was the 3rd of March when the first case was in Midlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this marathon just missed COVID. I wouldn't even say missed COVID because participants from China could not join us because China was experiencing the brutality of COVID-19. Yes, absolutely. And Nontuthuko, I learned through this that people, we are one. What happens in China happens. What happens in UK happens to me. As the world, I think when COVID was hitting hard in China, we thought it's a China problem.
Yes, definitely.
So I learned so much from this experience that what happens to Nontuthuko happens to me.
Nontuthuko, you are just so amazing. Like when I was going through your videos, I kept watching you and your journey and I was like, it's so amazing that a normal child from a normal village, like we've even gone to the same school, but you've done so much with your life. It's such an example for each and every person out there that they too can do it. Their wildest dreams are valid. Like I even saw one of your interviews that your CEO actually offered to help you to pay for the race because it was too much, it was too expensive. So you've got a good relationship with the CEO.
Absolutely. You see the values, Nontuthuko, that I shared with you, that I said encourage people in their early career to live by. I continue to live by those values. A very good example now, my boss, Alan Walla, who is the CEO of Richards Bay Coal Terminal, it was quite interesting because after I ran a 100-mile Kloof, that is 160 kilometers non-stop, I then said, I actually would like another challenge. I'm not sure which challenge. And then I started looking for big adventures around the world. And then I came across these 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And initially, when I read that, I obviously knew it's going to be expensive, but I thought, maybe it's going to be like 150,000, something I can save up for and go. And then when I looked at how much it is, I was like, oh no, this is too much, Weekend, right? And on Monday, when I went to work, and while we were talking about work stuff, as well as how was your weekend, I said, my weekend was great. I was looking for a next adventure. And he was like, what's that? And then I highlighted 7 marathons on 7 continents, 7 days. And then I said, but that sounds impossible. And he was like, you have done worse. I think you would do that.
Wow.
And then I said, no, and I said, I have 2 worries. One is whether I will finish it. Number 2, it's too expensive, so I'm not going to do it. And then he said, your worry number 1 is not valid because I know you, once you put your mind into something, you will make it happen. I know you will train for it to be fine. And then he said, the second part, then he said, you know what? Because you're going to be doing it for a good cause to help a school in need in raising funds, we'll support you. And Nontuthuko, just like that, my dream.
Wow. Yo. Do you mind to share how much it costed you? How much the race costs?
I would ask people to go and have a look on World Marathon Challenge.
Oh, World Marathon Challenge. At least they have something. Yes. Nontu, I actually want people after the show to just give you questions on what they would like to know about you as well. And I would actually like them to also Google you and find your videos on YouTube, because even SABC was covering you, like you were in the headlines, and you are such an inspiration, Nontuthuko. And I watched one of your interviews and you said you feel the fear, but you just do it anyway. And I was so inspired by that, it was not easy for you to run all these marathons, but you just did it anyway. And I saw the pictures of you with those girls being so excited that you're doing all this just for them. And wow. And one of the advices I've also read on your write-ups was to get on the starts and the rest will fall into place. Do you have any closing remarks for today? And then we're going to get your social media handles. Because I'm just so packed. My diary is full. I'm just so motivated by your story. Nontu?
Thanks. My closing remarks would be many dreams, Nontuthuko, die, not because people tried and failed, but because they never get who is doing it, who may be even less capable than you are, but because they had the courage to start.
Sure.
You cannot win a race without starting the race.
Sure.
Just Nontuthuko, the courage to show up. Just the courage to show up, right? I beg people to show up for their lives. Be a full participant in your life. Do not be your own judge. And unfortunately, we don't even wait and see ourselves fail. We just condemn ourselves before we start. Oh my goodness, the world has domesticated us to look at ourselves from a critical point of view. Have compassion for yourself. Just have the courage to start. That's all. To give extraordinary things are very ordinary people. Sometimes when I listen to people like you do now speak or sing praises about me, to me, it's actually strange because I know how ordinary I am, and I even know the weaknesses I have.
You're not.
No, but let me tell you, the beautiful thing that I know, Nontuthuko, is that those weaknesses don't define me. You know what defines me? Is how much I show for my life.
Can you say that again, Nontuthuko?
What defines you? What defines you is not weaknesses that you have or the things you cannot do. What defines you are the things that you show up for.
So we must show up.
People to just show up.
Oh,
Just show up.
yes, girl.
The people that you are watching, Nompilo, running the show, it's because they watch it. They just showing up.
So, yeah.
The people that we demonize and say they are rich, multimillionaires and everything, it's because they show up. People that we glorify as a heroes and heroes, they are so ordinary. It's just that they are showing up. So make it your to show up in your life. Be a full participant in your life. Have the courage to show up. Show up afraid. It is okay. We all are afraid. Make no mistake. In October, Nompilo will be running 251 kilometers in the Sahara Desert, running a race that is declared as the toughest foot race on earth, which is Marathon des Sables. Guess what? All I have to do for me is just show up. The rest will fall into place.
Wow, Nontuthuko.
I am definitely showing up.
I am so going to show up like I've never shown up before. Like you've just so encouraged me right now. Wow. Yeah, I feel so empowered, inspired, and equipped by this conversation that I've had with you. How do we get hold of you via social media?
Yeah, the only place people can find me is Facebook. I'm Nontuthuko Mgabhi. And people who wish to get hold or be in touch, they can also reach me on nontu.mgabhi@icloud.com.
Oh, okay. All right. And Nontuthuko, I'm certain that me and you are going to still do things together, bigger things than the world is waiting for. Because I love what you say. I love what you use. I love the language that you're speaking, you know. And I think it was not a mistake that God made us meet when we were young. So I'm so grateful for the time that you've shared with me today. And I'm certain that our listeners will be blessed and they'll actually give you more feedback and ask you more questions on how to grow on this field as a runner and as a corporate giant. And the heart that you have, may God continue to bless you, and may you touch more lives as you grow, as you show up, being a full participant. I've learned so much. May you have a blessed week ahead. Happy Monday to our listeners. Remember to follow us on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. This is Nompilo signing out. Have a blessed Monday. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Nontuthuko.